Welcome to the RE Real Estate Podcast, where we discuss buying and selling real estate in black and white. Here are your hosts, Ben Harang and Clint Galliano.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the RE Real Estate Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Clint Galliano, and I'm here with Ben Harang. And today we're doing the final April market update, and we're covering the city of Tibbetto. How you doing, Ben?
Good afternoon, Clint. I'm doing terrific. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man.
Good.
So
Good.
we already know what we're talking about.
We do?
Why don't we just dig into it? So
Okay.
why don't you fill some airtime while I get the screen shared?
Well, one thing people talk about they ask me, how's the market? My pat answer is it's always good. We always have something to do. We're busy. And until you look at the numbers, you can feel it. But then when you look at the numbers that we're about to look at, you can see it. So it's real. Tibbetto, the market trends in Tibbetto, we are squarely in a seller's market. Believe it or not. We only have just over 4 months of inventory. A balanced market is 6 months of inventory. Lafourche is in almost a buyer's market, and with a little over 6 months of inventory. Terrebonne and Houma are in buyer's markets. Tibbetto by itself, and when we say Tibbetto, Clint, we talking about municipal addresses of Tibbetto. So it's essentially North Lafourche. So it's a big deal with the interest rate, with the insurance, with all the issues that everybody says we have, and we're squarely in a seller's market. So it's interesting, and Clint and I are going to go through the rest of the slides, and they have $250 million in. I'm sorry, wrong. That's Clint can cut that out or not. I misread the slide. I'm looking at $250,000 median sold price. My bad. But we were talking about.
I wish we had $250 million.
Yeah. All right, Clint's gonna do me a favor. I think and leave that in there.
Worth to know.
In the list to sold price is 99.3%. So there's not a lot of negotiating being done with the current listings, and then 51 days on the market from list to close is very short. That's a month and 3 weeks, or a little over a month and a half, actually. So things happen quickly.
That 99.3% sold to list price, that's indicative of a seller's market also.
Right.
Right. Sellers have a little bit more control over, it's like, well, if you don't buy it, somebody else will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure how concessions are treated in these slides from RPR. But I know the new construction still has some incentives on it with some seller paid closing costs for the buyer and preferred interest rates, and maybe some gutters and blinds.
Blinds.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, contact Clint or myself, and we'd be happy to talk about the details of that, because that's a lot of what's driving these numbers.
Yeah, the new construction stuff, and I tell this to clients all the time. If you're looking at the best bang for your buck right now, the new construction stuff in and around Tibbetto is where it's at, because it's got the cheapest insurance and the best deals. It just, I hate for it to be a commercial for it, but I mean, ultimately, from a financial perspective, it seems to be the better route to go.
Well, if you're looking for a house, you'll never buy the perfect house. You'll never build the perfect house. But there's some deals out there with some seller incentives that just go in and buy the house, and make it your home and sit there for 3 to 5 to 7 years while you make it your home and raise your family or live there, do whatever you want to do. And the market may level out, it may not. You may stay there for an extended period of time. You may decide you want to move out or down or up. But in the meantime, you're not paying somebody else's mortgage by renting. And Clint and I can get you into a house for a lot less cash than renting an apartment or a house, with the first month's deposit and the first month's rent and the deposit. Um, so financially, like Clint said, there's some deals out there that it's a no-brainer just to go buy the house, and make it your home, knowing it's not going to be perfect, but it sure will be comfortable. Okay, Clint, next.
All right, man. All right. So median estimated property value. Again, this is RPR data, and this is automated valuation. But the key thing we want to look at is how the current market for Tibbetto, which is the blue line here, compares to the rest of the state, which is yellow and is tracking fairly close. And then Lafourche Parish, which is the orange line, which is a little bit lower. And then the national estimated values, which is way up here. So,
And
from a valuation point of view, this is commensurate with everything else that we've looked at from the market updates. We're sitting well below the national median values,
which means we're more affordable. But about December of 16 is where the data really started becoming more accurate. Before that, RPR really didn't have it. So the last 8 or 9 years, then you can see the city, the parish, and the state kind of move along with each other. So those, in my mind, are more reliable numbers.
Yep.
Okay, next up.
All right.
New listings. Let's see if I can get rid of the $250 million mistake. The median price on the new listings is just less than $236,000. New properties listed in April was $149 per square foot, and that's for living area. Total of $2.6 million and not quite 1,600 square feet of living area. So it the 44 in the is why we have the buyers. I'm sorry, the sellers market, because we're selling them almost faster than we're putting them on the market. So
yeah, and that total volume was 12.6 million.
What did I say?
2 million.
2 million? Okay, that's close. I knew in my head it was 12.6 million. I don't know what came out of my mouth.
I do that all the time.
I tend to do that on occasion myself.
Hey, just ask my wife and kids.
Oh,
they look at me funny all the time.
Yeah.
All right, active listings. All right, so we just talked about new listings. So total active listings. So these are properties for sale, whereas the new listings are the ones in the month of April that came on the market. This is the ones that total of what came on the market in April, in addition to what was on the market prior to the month of April. Median list price is $255,000, which is fairly close to the new properties that came on the market. There's 154 total on the market. Median days is 66 days that they've been on the market. Median dollars per square foot based on living area is 152. And it was a total of just over $50 million of volume. So that's a total of the list price of all the properties listed. And what's interesting about this chart is that it seems like the median price for the listings has been fairly steady since October of 22. It's dropped down a little bit, but it's been really kind of getting into 23, say about June or July, it's been sticking right around $250,000.
Yeah, and the we talked about median values versus average values, and the median is that typical bell curve that you may or may not have learned about in school, and it's the peak of the bell curve where there's as many to the left and as many to the right to develop the median price. So that's enough education, enough statistics.
Yep. We're not your math teachers.
All right, the new pending listings. So we have 38 new pendings, new properties that went pending in April at just under $247,000. I said that right, I think, Clint. They were on the market for 31 days. So those 38 properties were on the market for a median of 31 days before they went under contract. There's that $149 per square foot again, and just under $11 million in total volume. And the prices kind of go up and down, but they kind of flatten out over time.
Yeah, and the thing about the pending listings, that means that somebody made an offer and the seller accepted the offer, and that happened in the month of April.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and total pending listings. So median list price for the total pending listings is $248.9, and so that's still really close to that $250,000 median list price. It's a total of 71 properties that are pending. So that includes the number of new listings that went pending in April with the ones that were pending already going into April. Median days in RPR was 38. And again, that $150 per square foot, that seems to be the median price for properties, price per square foot. And there's a total of just slightly over $21 million of pending volume. And again, I probably said this at least 3 or 4 times, that volume, dollar volume, is the total of the list price of all the properties.
And that's the list price, not the price that they'll ultimately close at.
Correct. Because we don't find that out unless we're involved in the deal.
Right.
Just like we're not your real estate agents unless you have paperwork saying that we are.
We are real estate agents, but we're not your real estate agents unless you have paperwork to the contrary.
Yes, indeed. All right. Sold listings. Take it away, Ben.
All right. The median sold price is $251,000. So there's the 250 number again. 40 properties closed. The sold to list ratio is 99.25%, so not a lot of negotiating room. They were on the market for only 51 days, which is just over a month and a half, at $148 a square foot at $10.9 million. So just if you remember, we listed 44 properties in April and we sold 40 properties in April. So that's only 4 more properties than we closed came on the market. So we're not increasing the inventory much at all. We're selling them as fast as the inventory's coming on the market, which another reason we're in a seller's market.
Yeah.
And I think Clint's going to take
yeah, I'll take the last one. Last one is just a different way of looking what we saw at the very beginning of the report. This month's supply of inventory. So you can see over time how the supply went down and then it came up and then it dipped again and that's right around when the interest rates went nuts. Then it climbed back up, had a slight dip, and then came back up again as it we had a little bit of interest rate relief and then kind of calmed down. And for the moment, it seems to be kind of leveling out.
At about 4 months.
For a couple of months. Actually, a little bit more than a couple of months, but I think it's probably, well, I can't say for 100%, but I'd say we're probably in a little bit more of a normal market right now. And this segment right here at the very end of the chart is probably indicative of that.
Yeah. And that brings the average of months supply of inventory to 4 since for the last 3 or 4 months. So it kind of has leveled out at that 4 months of inventory.
Yeah.
So
that's Thibodeau. So we talk, well, you see in the news about the market, the real estate market, and they hype up all kinds of stuff. And a lot of what they're talking about is the national market, and that's influenced by major cities that have nothing to do with our market.
right.
So we're talking about our markets, and we started out talking with the parishes on a couple of episodes. We talked about Lafourche and Terrebonne's markets, and then the major cities in talking Houma and today Thibodaux on what's going on in those markets. So hopefully that gives you a better insight for an area that you're interested in. If you'd like to see a different area in our market, because we do cover Lafourche, Terrebonne, Assumption, St. Mary, and parts of St. James Parish, and a slight part of Jefferson Parish. If you'd like to see information on that, let us know, and we'll see about putting something together. But this is the majority of our market is the Lafourche and Terrebonne market, Houma and Thibodaux. So hopefully this gives you better insight. And if you like what you're seeing, give us a like, drop us a comment, share it with your friends, subscribe to the podcast, whether it's through a podcast app or on YouTube, any way you like. You can get to all of that through realestatepodcast.com. What's that, Ben? Where's that?
realestatepodcast.com. That's twice.
That's right. That's realestatepodcast.com.
Bingo.
All right.
All right. And one thing I want to mention, Clint, the numbers in Thibodaux being a seller's market, the numbers in Houma being a buyer's market. Don't forget that the numbers in Houma are larger than the numbers in Thibodaux because of the population. So we're still selling houses in Houma. We might be selling as many houses in Houma, but there are more houses that are sitting on the market in Houma. So just because we're in a buyer's market in Houma does not mean we are not selling properties in Houma, because we are absolutely selling properties in Houma, in Lafourche, in Thibodaux, in Terrebonne. They're selling everywhere. So if you have something you need to list and sell, don't be afraid to put it on the market. We'd like for you to call one of us, but whoever you call, it's always a good time to buy and sell.
Yes, indeed.
All right, commercial over, Clint.
/rant. All right. Thank y'all for listening. We'll have some more of your regularly scheduled programming coming out, and we're going to try and do these market updates. We do about 4 a month. Get them out. They're going to be off of the normal cycle, so they'll come out on a different day than the Friday. So keep an eye out for them. We'll do the next one once, probably not until after the first week of June, once May's numbers are compiled.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Clint. Enjoyed it as always. Congratulations again, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Yes, indeed. Another one in the can, Ben.
That
See
is.
you later.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
While we may discuss topics such as lending, interest rates, title law, real estate law, and appraisals in addition to real estate sales and transactions, please remember that we are only trained and licensed as real estate salespeople in Louisiana. The information shared on this podcast is for general purposes only and should not be taken as legal or financial advice. We may be agents, but unless we have signed paperwork stating otherwise, we are not your agents.